First of all, I just want to welcome each and every one of you who braved the Cape Town weather. This is our new gallery, the ART gallery, and Clementina van der Walt ceramic studio. It's quite new. This is where it's starting today. We originally came from Cork Bay, the other side of the city. We've got a gallery there as well, but we believe in the urban renewal of Cape Town, and that is why we made the move here. And I just want to thank all of you being part of that. There's people specifically that I want to thank, Fanny and Ado and Ari, who helped put me up, helped to put up this exhibition, and I want to thank them gratefully, because without them, and Muriel, yes. But this exhibition is basically about three very special people. The first one, we wouldn't have this space, and without whose drive, this wouldn't have been possible. This is my wife, Clementina van der Walt. And secondly, two, I think, extraordinary people who is making this exhibition possible is my friend, photographer, Eric Muller, who's in the past 10 years documented a lot of Cape Town and beyond its borders into Africa, and bringing us to Cape Town. Just his experiences and his essays, photo related, I think. And I'm very glad to have you, Eric, as the first artist who's really opening the exhibition. And this exhibition is all about a special person who I think started it all, and as Eric would call it now, closing the loop, but all about that later. Agnes Ositi, all the way from Uganda. I would like to introduce Eric to take it from here, and yeah, thanks a lot for being here.
Thank you. Albie, thank you, and thank you for the faith in putting the pictures up. And the friend thing, yes, I mean, yes, somebody great sent me the ceramics, in which case I might have to pay for it. But thanks a lot. There are a lot of people that I have to thank in this room and out of it, so I'm not going to go through the whole list. I've had a very fortunate and blessed last 10, 15 years of working with some incredible people, working with them and meeting them along the way in the course of my work. And quite a few of them are in the room today. And I think it'll become apparent from when you read what's up on the walls and on the shelves, who those people are and what my gratitude is about. But especially Agnes Achiti, who sparked something in me a long time ago, 10 years ago when I met her. I'm not going to talk a lot about that because it's on the walls, and I hope people will have a chance in the crowd to see that or come back at a later stage. I also owe a very big debt of thanks to Viv Carlson, Ezeco, and Grand West Heritage Foundation for supporting this. It was a bit of a roller coaster, and I'm very grateful and very appreciative of that. Thank you, Viv. There's just two short things that I want to say. One is, Agnes and I were on Cape Talk Radio yesterday, and some people called in. And one guy called in. Reddy Dereko asked me, why this exhibition, why in South Africa, why Cape Town? And one of the callers answered that question fantastically. There was a Mozambican guy called Philemon who called in, who had been abducted as a child by Renamo and forced to fight for Renamo. And he came over quite bitter and pained on the radio. And he talked about colleagues and friends of his who'd been through the same experience, people who are now in South Africa, in Cape Town and in South Africa. And it struck me that that really was the answer of why this. Because among us in our communities, in our city, in our country, live many, many people who've been through that experience. And who live in our country with that experience. So we can't divide ourselves off from the rest of Africa, from other countries, from the trauma that other countries go through, and from the problems that they face. We are part of a continent, and we live with people like that, and people who come into our country from there, as well as the people who live in our own communities who are traumatized in whatever way. The missing children, child abuse, rape, sexual abuse, drug problems, all those kind of issues traumatize our communities. And so in that sense, that's why I believe that this is important to do here, and I hope that that's what will resonate with people. So the last thing I'm going to say is thank you to Agnes for challenging me, us, 10 years ago, to put the story out there. I've been telling the story whenever I can, in whatever publication or slideshows to people or just talking to people. And I'm very happy to have the opportunity now to put it out there like this and to have Agnes here as well. I'm going to ask Jesper really to introduce Agnes. So I'm just going to say a couple of words about Jesper, who, we've traveled a lot around Africa together, and Jesper's one of the journalists that I've worked with over the last 10 or 15 years, and I feel immensely happy about having the opportunity to work with people like that, people of integrity and understanding, who understand the issues and try and put the issues out there. Jesper won't say this at all, but I have the freedom to do this. He won an award this week for his journalism. And it was not for any one story, it was for his cumulative work in stories from different parts of Africa. So I know he's bashful about it, but I'm not. I think that's it. I think I'll hand over to Jesper to do the next bit. Thank you very much, and thank you very much to all of you who responded and came here and supporting this. And lots of friends and people that I'm really, really happy to see. Thanks.
Good afternoon. Some 10 years ago, as Eric indicated, up in northern Uganda, we met a young girl, 15 years old at the time. And she told us of this remarkable dream she had. She wanted to become a lawyer, she wanted to study law, and eventually become a judge in order to help people. And we've come across many people like that. Essentially, almost any time we come across suffering people and sit down and talk to them, they'll tell us similar dreams. And we always sort of dutifully write it down and report on it, partly because it's true, people have these dreams and aspirations. I think it's proven in even the most dire circumstances that that's the case. Secondly, because I sort of feel that we have an obligation to listen to these dreams and support them and encourage people. Certainly because our readers love it, and whenever we've written these stories out of the hellholes of this continent, it's nice for the reader to get to the passage where people still have got hopes left. And fourthly, because it also makes the situations a lot easier to deal with for ourselves. Deep under this, we also, I guess, sometimes tend to be cynical and know it's, yes, we support it, we'll put it in our papers, but often we know it doesn't happen. In this case, it happened. Agnes Rossetti, who's with us here today, became a lawyer, more than just that, than just a lawyer. She became an intern at the International Criminal Court in The Hague, and she's now back in northern Uganda, where this all started. Which is, you will appreciate how remarkable this is when she's going to relate her story in a few minutes, which is much better than I am. But just to give you a brief outline of it, at the time we met her, she had come back quite quite recently from the bush, where she had been abducted by the Lord's Resistance Army, which is one of the most notorious rebel movements on this continent. You can doubt whether they actually deserve the title or the term rebel movement, because it's absolutely unclear what they're fighting for. They claim that they want to rule Uganda by the 10 Commandments, but are meanwhile busy breaking most of them, notably the one telling people to not kill. Just this week, I think the Mail and Guardian, or was it last week, carried an article on the sort of most the latest investigation into it, which claims that 75,000 people have been adopted, many of them children, or the majority of them children, as Agnes. Some of them have come back, and many have died as they went along. Agnes was among a group of 139 girls who were abducted from a Catholic girls' school, a boarding school, where the rebels simply broke through the walls of the dormitory in order to abduct them. Her very courageous deputy headmistress managed to negotiate the release of most of them, but 30 of them, including Agnes, were taken to the bush from where they later escaped. Eric has stayed with this story for a lot longer than I have. He has kept going back to Uganda, stayed in contact with Agnes. And last year he managed to sort of visit the other side of the story, so to say, which is what we see on the walls here today. Namely, the perpetrators, who are very seldomly seen. In this case, he happened to go with a UN delegation that was going to negotiate with the leader, Joseph Kony, over here. And while waiting for them, he started taking photographs of all Kony's men. And as I understand the history that he tells me about it, he suddenly starts realizing that they're all probably dressed up for the occasion in what is now termed, or became the title of this exhibition, Rebel Chic. I think it's a very sort of daring concept to put them up in a manner like this, to show these perpetrators in this gear. And to me, and to Eric, I know it's conjures up all kinds of mixed emotions. And I'm pretty sure that most people will leave from here with the same experience that I had watching this. That the real strong, or the strongest images that probably comes out of this whole exhibition are the images which happen in our own heads when we're trying to comprehend that Agnes' story and these young men are all part of the same bigger story. So I think Agnes deserves a big hand for coming here. I think Eric deserves a big hand for trying to put this now 20-year-old story back on the agenda in a very thought-provoking manner.
Thank you very much to everybody, especially to Eric, Jesper, and Eric's family. I'm greatly privileged for having had this opportunity to come for this exhibition and to expose the reality of the things that happened in Uganda. I am Agnes Ochite, and as you heard from the introduction, I'm from Uganda, and I'm a lawyer by profession. An inspiration that I got from my suffering. At the age of 13, almost making 14, I was abducted by the LRA, the way Jesper said. And I stayed in captivity for 3 months. We were abducted, 139 of us. And these pictures you see around are the pictures of the people who came and abducted us. They are not the exact individual, but they're the same group, the LRA, under the leadership of Joseph Kony. The rebellion started way back in 1986, immediately when the current government, under the leadership, the presidency of His Excellency Mr. Museveni Kaguta, came into power. And they weren't contented, but that group later gave in, and another group of Lakwena came up. And Konyi was discontented when Lakwena ran into exile, and so he remained into the country. And because he didn't have any political agenda, he failed to win the support of his fellow men, the Cholis, and also the surrounding neighbors. And the only way he thought he could recruit or conscript people into his rebellion was through abduction of children. And so for the last 20 years, these people were abducting children from the age of 7 to whatever age they wanted. And they knew that the best people to use were children, because they could easily be manipulated, because they could easily be deceived. And to them, the children, that didn't matter whether a boy or a girl. So they attacked children from their respective homes, they attacked children from their respective schools, and any opportunity that they had to grab any child, they did that. And from the research carried out, around 66,000 to 75,000 people, youth and children, were abducted by these people. And most of the pictures, somebody asked me, I feel seeing such a picture. Unfortunately, I just feel sorry for them. The only picture that really moved me, the pictures of Sister Raquel and the other girl and the other boys who were abducted. At least they made it out, but I feel sorry for them because they failed to really make their way out. Instead, they accepted to be manipulated. They accepted to be used, and it's not their problem. It's not their fault. I shouldn't point a finger at them that they accepted to be used, but it's because of the circumstances that they found themselves in. What the rebels do to really keep the children in captivity: one, if they get you at home, they force you to kill the members of your family, and so they know very well that after, you cannot decide that I'm coming back home. You'll not be accepted in such community. In the alternative, they can also make you kill your own parents, and that, you know, I don't have a home anymore. I've killed my parents, I've killed my brothers, I've killed my sisters. So where am I going? And where they abduct you alone and they don't make you to kill anybody, they abducted you from home, and so they know your home very well. The next time you escape, they know we abducted such and such a person from such and such a place, and they can easily follow your trace and come to the village, and the whole community suffers. For me, I was privileged that I was abducted from a school, and so none knew my place, and so I wasn't really at risk, not putting a community at risk. And that is one of the privileges I had, that they cannot even trace where I come from. They know I'm actually right, but they didn't know where I come from. But these people, it could be that what they force them to do makes them to think that I'll not be accepted anymore into the community. And that's how the conflict has been going on. And this rebel group, instead of fighting the government, they are not directly attacking the government. They are fighting the civilians, their fellow tribesmen. They come and kill the people. They come and abduct anybody they want. There are a lot of people who were amputated because of the landmines. Others were mutilated. They cut off the people's ears. They cut off the people's mouth, that the people are collaborating then with the Ugandan military forces. And so, because of that, the government decided that the people should move and live in internally displaced persons' camps. And life in the camp is really challenging because people have to survive on the international aid, on what to be given to eat, to drink, on the food, everything. They have to rely on the international aid to come and drill for them the water to drink. But now there is a little bit of peace, as the peace talk is going on in southern Sudan, where people are trying to at least access their ancestral land. All that happened, but I looked at myself as a person who is very lucky, because much as I was abducted, I had the opportunity to go back to school. From my abduction, I had the dream of becoming a lawyer and later a judge. I did graduate as a lawyer in 2005, and thanks to my friend, thanks to Eric. And to everybody my friends who sponsored me, they are not here, but they're really happy every time they see my graduation picture, and I really give the joy to them as well. But the inspiration I got from this abduction, I never allowed it to destroy me. I was traumatized, but I was cancelled. I felt I was mishandled by these rebels, but when I returned, my parents, my friends, and the rest of the family members and at school, they gave me the love that I needed, the care that I needed. And because of my spirituality, I managed to recover and build myself back. And I didn't at one point accept the darkness that I encountered to destroy my life. Instead, I look at it as a point of transformation. I experienced the suffering, so I should do something that would make the next person not to experience the same thing that I experienced. And that's all the inspiration that I got. And I knew the best way to do that was to become a lawyer and maybe later judge. But after graduating as a lawyer, I said the best thing to do is not to become a judge. The best thing is to go and work with the community, because that's where I really feel the effect. So after my graduation, I went for internship at the ICC. And after my internship, I came back to work for the community. My greatest joy is with the community, where I see the life of a person changing because I've done the little that I can. I know I am who I am, not because I'm Agnes, a strong woman, a strong lady, but I know I am who I am because of the friends I had around right from my childhood, my education, and every field. I had friends. And it was the friends who supported me in my education, and up to now, I am who I am because of my friends. And so I knew the friends made me who I am. And now the challenge is mine also to make a positive impact in the people. And that's what I'm trying to do at the moment. And I'm working with an organization called AXI as the Senior Protection Officer. What I do with these organizations are organizations that they're overlooking into human rights issues in northern Uganda and protection cases. And I really love to work with them. Why? Because I see the joy in the people. I see the joy in the little response that I give in my services, and that I see my dream coming true. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that powerful story, Agnes, and thank Eric once again and everybody here. And there's still some refreshments, and please stay and look at the exhibition. And yeah, I declare this exhibition formally open. Now, thank you.